All right, Yuri, welcome to a little revision video for you for some technical drawing ahead of your end of year assessment, which will be happening very, very soon. So I'll put this video together for you, just go through each step, what we're expecting, how we can gain full marks ready for your end of year assessment. So we've got a part that's been drawn out here with all of our dimensions on. What's really important throughout this process is your accuracy. So what we're after is really accurate pencil lines at the correct angles, and it looks exactly like this. Now, I've got an isometric drawing here, and what we are wanting to do is actually draw just the front face. So what this is going to look like if I was looking at it front on. So I'm going to be referring to this. I'll just slide it to one side so you're able to see. Now, important, I've got a nice sharp pencil and I'll have a ruler. You may want a rubber to hand as well, just to help you out. Now, I'm going to start at the bottom of my page and work my way up. Now, please do bear in mind that you're going to need space above. So I'm going to start roughly in the middle of my page, and I can see from my drawing over here that the total width of this bottom part, the cuboid shape on the bottom, is 150. So nice and parallel with the bottom of my page, I'm going to come to 150, nice and accurately. I'm then going to come up off my working drawing. It says 30 millimeters here. So keeping my page nice and level, getting a nice 90-degree angle here. I'm going to come up to 30 millimeters at a 90-degree angle. Going nice and lightly, just in case I make a mistake. What I tend to do with my ruler is I run it along the line that I've already done, and I keep the same angle, and I pop it up like so. So I can then join these together. Okay, so I've got a nice rectangle shape there. Now, what I have to do on the working drawing here is now look at my next part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on this corner, and I know that it's 10 millimeters in from the edge. So I'm going to go back onto the top line. I know that that's 150 millimeters, and I'm going to come in 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter from either side. Just doing a little mark there. I'm then going to come up 15 millimeters. Now, the numbers can get quite confusing here, so make sure you're reading them nice and clearly. I've got 15 millimeters here, which is the height of this little part that comes out. And I want to keep that nice and parallel with my upright line to make sure it's nice and accurate. So all I'm going to do is take that line there, and I'm just going to slide at the same angle, and I'm going to come up 15 millimeters. I'm going to do the same on both sides. All right, 15 millimeters. I'm going to slide across to my mark, and I'm going to come up like so. All right, now what I've got here, I come in 10 millimeters. So I'm reading my working drawing. I come in 10 millimeters, again, keeping the same angle. Slide up, and I can either come onto the end like this, or I can use the full length of the ruler. It's totally up to you. And I'm just going to come in 10 millimeters, which 10 millimeters in from that end, 10 millimeters in from this end. And what I have there, I'm ready to move up from there. Okay. Now what I'm going to do for this next part is we're going to crate it. So I'm just going to draw a crate at the top, and then we can focus on getting the angle right. So I now know that I need to run some lines all the way up my work that just need to be parallel. Now I'm not going to take a measurement for this. It doesn't matter how long these lines are, but they're going to be construction lines to begin with. All right, so I'm just going to dash some lines up my drawing, and these are called construction lines. So they're not there permanently. I might rub them out, I might keep them there. Okay, they're a reference point for me while I'm sketching, and we just dash them so we remember that they're not permanent. Okay, So next stage, I now need to decide how far up I need to come. So I take my working drawing. I know that I've come up 15 millimeters here. The total height of this line here is 55 millimeters. I've already come up 15, so I just need to minus 15 from 55, okay, which will leave me with 40 millimeters, okay. So on my line from here, I'm going to come up 40 millimeters on the construction line. So turn it from a construction line now into a solid line. And I'm going to go 40 millimeters from there. Now what I need to do is figure out where the point's going to be, and that has to be in the center. So from here, I'm going to come along the front. And I know that this is 130 millimeters wide. So to do this, okay, I'm actually going to come along the front here. And I'm going to find the center. So the center is going to be 65 millimeters. And I'm just going to do a little line there. I'm now going to do a construction line. So just trying to get the same angle. And I want a center line now that takes me all the way out. This is going to help me for my door as well. So the door part's going to be important here as well as the roof because they're all going to be in line. Okay. Now I know from the drawing that from the bottom of this part here all the way up to the point of my house is 110 millimeters. So on that construction line, I can come down to 110 and I'm going to do a mark at the top. Okay, so this is my mark at the top now. I've done 40 here. So all I can do, nice and simply, is join them up. And join them up this way. And I have my slope to my roof. The construction lines can stay there, I'm not too worried about them because I'm going to use some of them now. So the center line is important now. So we're going to be doing the door part, okay, which is sat in the center. So I'm going to come along the front here. I know that that center line is still there for me to use. 30 millimeters is the width of the door. So either side of my center line is going to be 15 millimeters. So I'm going to come across 15 millimeters from here. And I'm going to go across 15 millimeters the other side. I'm going to add some more lines in as we go. I can then come up 65 millimeters. Again, we're going to create this because we've got a curve at the top. 65. We've got 65 millimeters here. And again, it's a crate along the top. I need a curve. So I do not need to fill that in too much. I can add a curve in from there. Now looking back at the drawing, I've got a radius of 10 millimeters here, so the curve is from there. So what I can do, all right, is just do a little mark where I'm going to start my curves. And this bit is a little bit more difficult, but you just want a nice continuous curve that joins the center line to that 10 millimeter line. Now this might not be perfect, we might have to rub it out, we might have to give it another go. Just do it lightly, try and get them symmetrical with one another. And what I'm going to do actually is just rub these lines out here because they weren't dotted. Put them in as a solid line. And I'm just going to make sure that I bold this out slightly, not too hard, but just emphasize that that is there. Okay, so what I've got here now then is I've got my cuboid on the bottom. I've done the little step up to the side of the building, and then we have the walls, and then we have the point of the roof. From here, what I want to add on is some dimensions. So I'm going to again use my ruler again. What I could have done here is not had that line in and just done little marks to make it slightly neater. And just bring this curve slightly more down. So everything's just parallel, everything looks right. So off the working drawing now, we just need to add in our measurements. Now we're going to use some double-sided arrows for this, and they want to be parallel with my work. So we're going to go some double-sided arrows like so, and I can write in 150. Okay, all measurements are in millimeters. I know that this is a 1-to-1 scale. Again, I can run some measurements from here to here. It's going to be 10 millimeters. I can tell myself that the height of the door is going to be 65 millimeters. And so on. And I can add the dimensions. What I don't need to do is repeat myself. Okay, I don't need to repeat myself. If I know that 150 and I've given myself a measurement, I don't need to add all of them in. But we would like to know another one that I can add in here is 30 millimeters. Show me the thickness. I will probably add in as well total height for here is 110, and I'm going to add in here this at 15 millimeters. So for now, that will be okay. I'm then just going to add one final one in here, which is the width of the door at 30 millimeters. Okay, I hope this has all helped. Okay, please do give this a go. Make sure you've set out nice plain bits of paper, ruler, pencil, and get everything in proportion to make your work look really, really good.